I think major and independent labels both have their advantages. I wouldn't always suggest to just have a major label seek you out, because I think that there's a lot of indie labels that do a great job and that are more hungry to break talent. And with us, it was exactly that. I mean, we ultimately signed a deal with Universal to secure our career in case Republic, who's an indie label of Universal, decided for whatever reason they were going to fold or not be in business anymore. We wanted to make sure we had a home to go to. But ultimately, Republic has been the most amazing label for us, because they really showed a lot of heart and conviction for the music, and we knew that they were going to do the right thing and break the band. So, you know, I think it has its advantages both ways. It just depends on on how you feel about the people coming to you and what you think they feel about your music. And as long as they, you know, show a lot of heart for it, I think they'll do the right thing.
The difference between independent and a major, I think, is a whole lot of things and a whole lot of nothing at the same time. If you're on an independent label, one thing you have is a lot more freedom to create in the way you want to create, regardless of the standard or the norm or the parameters which music is set by forever, the structure, the famous pop structure. I signed to an independent label first because I knew I could do what I wanted to do, and I heard all the nightmares about the record industry. So once I went and did my first record on an independent label, before we put it out, I knew that I needed a major label to touch the world with it. I told my record company to go joint venture with a major, and that's what they did.
The advantage of an independent label is that you know personally the people who are making all of the decisions about your marketing and every aspect of what happens to your music after it's left your hands. You know the people personally. Chances are they're not going to be fired. The company will go bust, but the people you have a relationship will not just disappear and the company stay there. If the people you trust and have a relationship disappear, hopefully the company's gone too, so that you're contractually free. If you're signed to a major label, the guy who signed you, the guy who's enthusiastic about you and came to your gigs and convinced you to sign with their label, he's going to be gone. He simply will be gone.
A major is usually a bigger organization. They can afford to pay you more. They have more money to work with. But then there was an indie called Jive Records that started off as an indie and now is like a major. But a small independent record company you usually sign with when you when you can't get a contract with a major. You would use that as an alternative when you couldn't make a deal with a major or a label identified with a major.
It's kind of hard for independents because they don't have the connection or the ties that a major has. If you have money, then you can probably do it independent, and you'll be able to keep most of the percentage of your company. But if you don't have money, you have to, you got to sell short to be able to get in with a major. Then you go in as partners, 50-50 split, and they'll put up the money that you're not able to put up.
The music business happens in the building, the big business. But the reincarnation of the music business always happens outside the building. We have executives in here today who are comfortable. We even have executives in hip-hop who are completely comfortable. And that's why you have a Cash Money, or you have a No Limit, or you have a Rough Riders, or a Rockefeller, because those people have different vision from what's conventional and obvious. And those people are always going to start independent companies and compete. No matter how much you guys at the big level merge, there'll always be young spirit and energy and new ideas that you won't understand.
The best thing I can tell you from indies to majors is indies are a good training ground for majors, and there's just as many assholes in indie labels who are going to rip you off as in majors. So don't think like, oh, I'm on a corporate major now, it's all bad. We got screwed more on small labels than we did on big labels, so don't fall for that. But it's a good training ground because you see how it works from the ground up, so you can avoid those pitfalls.
I get about 1,000 a week, and I listen to every single one of them, which I can tell you about 98% of all the industry doesn't. So I'm that guy because I do believe I'm going to find something, a diamond in the rough, so you can have hope that there's people out there listening. But I put it on, and I listen. I don't know what I do. I just listen. I always listen to the intro, and I always listen how you're stringing me along to follow your structure, like, and how you go into your verse.
I personally listen to anything that comes through the door. It doesn't matter.
I always, with demos, usually I get to the chorus of every song, which is usually a minute and a half in every demo, which, unless it's just complete, gibberish recorded onto a cassette, which you come in contact with a lot of that stuff, which people that don't know how to even record a song. But I just listen for lyrics and any lyrics and their style and their delivery.
I've never really got off on, just listening to a voice. My background has always been, in person, and a lot of the groups that I've had the pleasure of working with, they've kind of met me either eating in a restaurant, walking through an airport, or, clothing shopping. So I kind of get off on the personal thing. But a demo, it's an old thing that people say, well, send your demo to such and such, but your demo goes in the same mailroom as the mail. And sometimes your demo could be there for weeks or months before someone actually listens to it. So the same thing, I guess, that you put into making a demo, maybe you save that money and put yourself a bus trip together and, try to show up somewhere in person, and just seems like it becomes a little bit more personal.
If I were to get an unsolicited demo that I really enjoy, I would make copies, and I would first off go to my immediate bosses and play it for them and hope that they have the same ideas that I have about it. If not, I'm going to knock on each person's door and be enthusiastic about it and take it to each person until someone finally listens to it and agrees with me.
It's hard to get unsolicited material to a record company. It's very hard because everyone and their mother makes records. Everyone and their mother makes music. So to get music to the right person unsolicited is very tough, because I get thousands of demos yearly.
Record companies like to have a policy where they do not like unsolicited tapes because it can eventually cause problems, particularly when it comes to copyright infringement. As if a song's very similar to a song that's already currently on the radio, it can lead to a lawsuit. So we don't really accept unsolicited material. So our source of material comes from anything from agents to club owners to the internet to attorneys. Music business attorneys we have relationships with, managers of acts that we have relationships with. So it comes from all kinds of things. And sometimes just walking around the clubs and walking around the streets, people find out that you're with a record label and they just slip you tapes. And, you don't want to be a pig about it. You take the tape and you listen to it.
Right now we file things, solicited or unsolicited demos. The unsolicited demos go into a big bin, and when there's free time, a couple hours ago I was just listening to the demos today, the unsolicited stuff. The solicited stuff obviously gets a higher priority, so that's going to go in the front of the line. And the unsolicited stuff, when we can get to it, we get to it.
The way new talent reaches record companies to present their material are either through a lawyer, through a manager, through a friend who has a relationship with a record company. In other words, the record companies will receive usually and actually analyze a piece of material only if it's presented through a credible source. So the first thing a new artist must do is connect with one of these credible sources so that their material can be properly presented to a record company, to an important producer, etc.
The art of getting your music heard by a record executive is that. It's an art. I think one of the underused tricks that I would use if I had to go back and do it again is I would try to look up the A&R person on some of my favorite records. Or conversely, if there's an A&R person who you want to get to, look and see what records they did. Then call their office and talk to their assistant and say, hey, I'm a huge fan of the Ding Dongs and the other thing and that record that he did. Whatever. Make nice with the assistant. The assistant has the power to get your music to their boss and to present it in such a way like, hey, I think this is good, And the assistant also has time to listen. Whereas the person you're trying to get to is probably being pulled in a number of directions and has a lot of stuff.
Well, I got started in this business by knowing somebody, I say that's one good part of, if you want to be a part of this business, you have to know somebody. And that's how I got in. A friend of mine was a cousin of Mary J. Blige. And when we was doing the demos, he had passed her one of them, and she passed it on to Puff Daddy. So that's how we got into the game,
So, boom, we loaded up our vans, drove 8 hours straight to Atlanta. Boom, wait for the party. Got to the party. Just so happens we were on the guest list. St. Lunatics was already on the guest list, but we didn't know that. So we're outside the party. Trail takes my manager inside. So we're outside. We're looking at all the people go in. We are just keeping up ruckus and just doing what we do. At this time, it's about 9 o'clock at night. So we're out, the police run us off, we come back. Police run us off again, we come back. We playing a game with them. So he takes the manager in, he introduces him to Mace. Mace was like, okay, give the CD to Cuda. Cuda's the guy who, For Real Entertainment. So he gave the tape to Cuda. Cuda was supposed to hold the tape for Mace. Instead of him holding the tape for Mace, he popped it in his deck. He heard it, and it was like, okay, I want y'all to come up to New Jersey. So boom, he flew us up to New Jersey the next day.
How Eminem's tape came to be in Jimmy's hands was I went to the '97 Rap Olympics, which is I used to go out. I still do go out to a lot of clubs and a lot of like freestyle battles because I'm into more rap than alternative or rock music. And went to the '97 Rap Olympics, where it's a big freestyle contest with rappers, and there's about 100 MCs there battling against each other, and it's just kind of a tournament with judges. And Eminem came in second place that night, and I just happened to be there and met him afterwards and got a demo tape of kind of a demo of his demo that he was putting out on the street, like his independent release. And I brought that to Jimmy and told him that it was just something that, you can't pass up.
Dean Geislinger, who was a intern, literally $7 an hour he was making, opening the mail downstairs. I fired an assistant. He filled in for the phones for one day, and the second day or third day handed me the Eminem tape. So, did I hear it immediately? I thought it was clever. I gave it to Dre, who I really trust. Dre loved it. And we went on from there.
I discovered Boyz II Men at a New Edition concert backstage, yeah. They were singing a New Edition song called Can You Stand the Rain. And, they really did a number on the song, too, because they was, doing it a little different than how we was singing it. The guy with the glasses, Nate Morris, he called me for 2 months. And he literally kept telling me, would you please meet with us, please meet with us. And I kind of found him to be like a nag. And I finally, I took the meeting, and, I'm happy that I did, because that was a big part of my career also.
When you're hungry, man, you do just about anything.